fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the Grayscale Trust as well as some of the other crypto metrics and the markets. So with that being said, let's get it. Excuse me. Okay, so to start off, it does appear that Bitcoin is trying to push against all-time highs. We'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. I'm not going to say which direction I think it's going to go. We're just going to let the markets play out and we'll see what happens. So the miners are also up quite a bit today, actually, which is nice. I do want to point out, actually, on CLSK on the, see if it ever pops up here on the weekly time frame. So it does appear that this thing is wanting to make a second attempt out of this descending channel. Again, the target is the top of the channel at 18. It's a very bullish hammer candle. There is, according to TradingView, again, I can't confirm one way or another if that's the actual earnings date or not. Just have to go with the data that's presented here. But we also, on the 4-hourly time frame, we do appear to be about ready to get golden crosses on all three of these. It's already happened on the RSI, so it's looking like it might potentially be a pretty good setup here. Okay, so I will get into the trust in a minute. The first thing I want to get in outside of this is the NASDAQ. We'll take a look at this because, again, there does seem to be some level of correlation between the markets and the Bitcoin miners and the Grayscale trusts. Maybe not a perfect correlation, but somewhat of a correlation going on here. So it appears that we're trying to go back into the support zone. Again, we had a nasty drop and then immediately got bought back up. So that's obviously a very good sign, right? So we got the golden crosses back here. Told you the oversold signal happened. Likely that was going to be the low. That turned out to be the case, at least as of right now. But we need to get above this 22,000 to create a new structure high, or at least above 21,750. So we're kind of testing that level right now. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Okay, so let's go over the Wall Street cheat sheet. So again, I wanted to show you guys this because a lot of people out there are being all negative and pessimistic, and trust me, I totally get it. I understand. You can see this disbelief phase right here. We're kind of stuck somewhere between hope and disbelief. This rally will fail like the others. A recovery is possible. Then you can see that the markets actually start moving, and that's when everybody gets excited about it. I've told you guys time and again, and of course, it's your money, it's your life. You can do what you want to with it. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but according to the smart money, the best time to get in usually is somewhere in here. Okay. The best time to sit back and do nothing is during this time frame, or to take profits, I should say, is during this time frame. The best time to do nothing is during this time frame, just maybe sit on some cash. And then the best time to deploy that cash and actually get into the markets is during this area right here. And again, I do think we're somewhere probably between disbelief and hope. In this case, you guys can clearly see it reflected on the charts. So, I remember a lot of your guys' comments in the videos back here where I was telling you guys, yeah, this is probably a pullback in time. They're probably trying to fake people out of their positions. Blah, 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 right? And you guys were like, oh, this is garbage. It's not going anywhere. A lot of whining, a lot of all kinds of stuff going on. I mean, guys, I get it. Been in these markets a long time. I understand the emotions and all that stuff. But at some point, what happened? Bitcoin did 110% gain. And then all of a sudden, everybody got excited. Life was good, blah, blah, blah. Now we're experiencing the exact same thing again, except this time, instead of it being a pullback in time, that is going down slightly, a slow bleed. It's mainly just kind of sideways. And again, usually at the top of a move, this is actually a bearish sign, but not exactly though. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So usually a consolidation at the top of a move, we'd want to see some kind of like Wyckoff distribution, something like this with like some kind of rounding tops, kind of sloping downwards. We're not seeing anything like that right now on these charts, so it does appear that this actually potentially wants to create a breakout according to this drawing you can see here that I put on the chart. That's kind of what I'm more expecting. But of course, we'll just have to wait and see how this price plays out. So yeah, that's what's going on with Bitcoin. So I just wanted to bring this back to mind to let you all know that, if trust me when I tell you, if you get too wrapped up in your emotions, it can having people allowing themselves to have negative emotions control them can lead to some seriously bad things. So anyways, enough about that. So the next thing I wanted to go over here before we get into the actual trust is the earnings. So we had earnings yesterday. Didn't cover this because we didn't make any content, so we're going to do it now. Okay, so Microsoft kind of just, that is a lot of sideways. I didn't realize Microsoft was going sideways for that long. Wow, it's really been going sideways for like a year. That's kind of crazy. Okay, well, whatever the case, it does appear that they beat earnings, so that's a good sign. Let's see, Meta. Let's take a look at Meta real quick. I'm sure Meta probably did well. Yeah, it's pushing against new all-time highs. That's not surprising. So yeah, Meta also beat earnings. We can take a look at Tesla as well. Obviously, that's a big deal because Tesla is extremely volatile compared to those two. So slight miss on earnings, but the price actually hasn't really moved much. So my guess is there's probably some good forward guidance on this to offset the actual earnings result itself. It's possible that some of these CEOs may come out after a bad earnings and give good forward guidance, which could actually reverse the stock to the upside. That does happen. So let's take a look also at MasterCard. And again, the reason why we take a look at the credit card companies is because it is a measure of consumer demand. Okay. You guys got to remember, MasterCard and Visa, I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but I think Visa does like some 8 trillion with a T, $8 trillion a year in volume through their credit cards, through their credit card companies. So it is a huge, huge measure of demand. And, whether people are willing to spend the money or not. And based on the earnings, I would say that, consumerism is probably still pretty strong. So they did have a beat. The price did moonshot. So as far as I'm concerned, that looks pretty good. The only other ones I would want to see here, really, I mean, we could look at all these, of course. It would take a lot of time, but we could look at all these. The only other ones I'm really interested in right now is Apple and Visa. Again, because Visa is a measure of the economy, and Apple is basically just one of the Mag 7s. So the oil stocks should be pretty interesting. We may look at those tomorrow as well. I'll state my reasons for that when we take a look at it. So let's go ahead and go down to the trust and take a look. So there does appear to be some green on the day. Again, I'm not jinxing the price when I tell you guys I think it's going to go up. I genuinely do think it's going to go up, but of course the markets are very hard to predict. The best traders and investors in the world can be wrong, and they probably have been wrong. Nobody has a perfect track record. So anyways, it appears that we bounced and bought up off the lows here. This is an indecision candle. I don't really like it. So as long as we hold this $10 area, I think we're good. If not, then you'd probably be looking at roughly about 660 to 8 here. I can't tell you guys based on this indecision candle whether that's likely going to happen or not. Target's still between 27 to 54 up here. Up here, you could go even as high as 135. That's possible too. So right around that area, just to the $54 level, is a 410% gain. BCHG, so I don't like this sloping down. I'm not a big fan of that, but we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. So in the buy zone, 3 3/4 to 420. Targets here between 1270 to 25. And I read in the comments somewhere that somebody said that I don't know if they were referring to us doing this or who exactly they were talking about, but they said something about secretly selling in the back end, the Grayscale trust. Guys, we don't even have the trust anymore. We're just covering this content for you, okay? We only had the trust on one account that was on Fidelity, and for those of you guys that are wondering about that, we stopped showing the account because we haven't made any trades. There's nothing to show. But since people seem to be skeptical about it, which I think is absolutely stupid because we told you we were going to be transparent here, we will pop that account open this weekend during the buy, sells, and dividends video, or the monthly video in this case, and we will show you that there has not been any transactions. All right, so 552% gain. Yeah, if you're going to start throwing accusations around, dude, you might want to get your facts straight first. Otherwise, just stop talking, okay? All right, so 340 to 410 here for the buy zone on HZEN, 815 to 10.5 for the profit target, 200% gain. I mean, really, in truth, we're doing this as a courtesy. We don't actually have to do this, but we're doing this so you guys can stay up to date in these markets. There's plenty of other stuff that we could cover, but some people just don't seem to appreciate it. So I would say probably 9:30 to about 13 on this one for potential pick me up. Targets 1850 to about 20 for the targets for 110% gain. ETH, so lots of different targets here. Pick your poison. You have a bull flag 42, smaller cup and handle 72, bigger cup and handle 52, and the let's see, what was the other one? The descending channel at 34. So the green box is basically the buy zone. So 23 here, going up to 2860, and then the target could be as high as 72. You could put your sights up there if you wanted to. So 220% gain. I mean, this thing, the target is basically where the price ultimately peaked out back in 2019. So it's not that much of a stretch to think that that could actually happen. Okay, so GBAT, it does want to appear to be bouncing off of these kind of wick lows. You can see lots and lots of wick lows here, clearly trying to stop loss hunt. The market makers trying to grab liquidity before going up, because you can see literally every single time that's pretty much what happened. The buy zone here, 430 to about 520. Targets, I'd just be looking at the all-time highs at this point for 32. Just if it was me, I'd just be looking to pick my bags up at these levels, load up a certain amount in cash, and just say, hey, you know what, I'm done. Put like 5,000 or 6,000 or something in, and just say, yeah, okay, I'll wait till it does like an 8x and then cash out, and it's all good, So 670% gain. But the way that we like to position when we put money in is we don't like to put everything into one position. We like to kind of have our money spread out, just to be a little bit more on the safe side, even if we have some concentration. So FILG, very similar story, bouncing off the lows here. I mean, you could, as long as this thing holds above 2025, we're good. So anywhere between there and 42 for the pick me up, 400 for the all-time highs. I mean, it's already looking like about a 13x on this, so almost 1,500%. GLIV, similar story, trying to hold the lows here, so about 950. As long as we can hold that, I'd say we're good. The target in this case would be 80, so you'd be looking at about an 8x move for about 750% gain. G-Link, so it's wanting to hold these this support zone here, which is a flip zone. We'll see how this plays out. So 65 to 85 here. 220 for the targets. I also want to mention a quick piece on the Fed before we close out too. So for the buy zone for GSOL, anything from 16 going up to 22 in this case. It does appear that it really wants to hold this level. I mean, it's just sitting there, so it's not actually dumping. So 80 to 115. Of course, I could be wrong about this. It could dump more, but I don't know. It's hard to say at this point exactly what's going to happen. The markets have been so unpredictable, but based on the fact that it's just kind of sitting there at the lows and it's been not breaking down after multiple weeks of price action, the likelihood in my mind that it's going to go to the upside is actually much higher. So 625% gain. GXLM, I'd be more worried about this one having a breakdown than the other one, because when it goes sideways at the top, that could be a distribution. Sideways at the bottom is usually accumulations. So 36 to, let's say about 45 for the buy area here. Targets anything from 70 to 95 for about 165% gain. Mana, very similar thing. So it does appear to want to be bouncing off of kind of these wick lows. It's not perfectly down there yet, but you guys can see this white line here that has held in the past. It's obviously probably trading based on these candles back here more than these ones. So as of right now, 10 to 20, I would say would be the buy area, and the target would be all the way up here at 70. Of course, we have to confirm by the end of the trading week that the price action is actually going to stay within this channel here. So 580% gain. And then last but not least, Zcash bouncing off of all these wick lows, which doesn't really shock me. So you could probably just look anywhere between 320 to 620 on this one for a pick me up. It's mainly just gone sideways that whole time, with targets going anywhere from 950 all the way up to 1760 for about a 445% gain. And you can see this was the bear market swing high here, or suckers rally, before it got really dumped on into the abyss of the bear market back then. Okay, so yeah, so the FOMC meeting, Powell came out yesterday and basically said they're not gonna that they're gonna wait and see. Pretty much is how I'm interpreting that. Okay, and they did not say anything about ending QT, even though the Bank of Canada just came out and said they're pretty much going to end QT. You can go look that up for yourself. And Trump even said at Davos that he wants to have interest rates dropped all around the world. So do I think this is going to age well from Jay Powell and the Fed? Probably not. I'm not too concerned about it. I think Trump will get it all squared away. We'll probably see lower interest rates soon. It is annoying. I'm not going to lie. I mean, they've been raising the rates for 3 years. They still don't have inflation under control. I mean, dude, that's not my problem. That's not your problem. That's not anybody else's problem. That's an American. That's the Fed's problem. They're losing credibility, and they need to fix that. These guys have been told before that the solution here is real simple. Just cut the rates and let Trump take care of the rest. It's really just that simple. And Trump came out the other day and said just as much. But, the Fed thinks that they're God, and they think that they know all the answers, and the people that actually know the answers, that somehow they're more supreme to those people. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.